So, you want to farm the Diluvian Mechanism. This is currently the best farming method in the game due to the fact the Diluvian has an unbelievably stacked loot pool, having tons of 3-star equipment, legendary weapons, mass amounts of enchants, and most importantly, having every relic in the game. We'll be covering the meta builds and strategies to let you never wipe while farming the Diluvian and get sub 20-minute clears. I'll even be talking about a hidden feature that completely breaks the Diluvian Mechanism. So by the end of this video, you'll have a bank that rivals the richest players in Deepwoken. Make sure you like and subscribe because we have a system that'll recommend the best Diluvian build for you. The first question you may have is, what build should you run? Mages are currently the meta of the Diluvian because of their insanely high AoE damage. Of all the attunements you can pick from, Gale is the best, shortly followed by Flame Charm. Although you can run stuff like Iron Sing, Frost, or Thunder if you really want to. In my video where I covered over 70 different Diluvian builds, there were 7 types of mages you could run. And again, all of these can work on any race, but here's where we get into the secret feature that completely breaks the Diluvian. I included the build that could use it in the video, but didn't mention it at the time because I didn't want to risk it getting patched. However, since this feature is starting to become well known, I thought I might as well let you guys know what this game-breaking feature can do. And it's just 5 words. Water off a duck's back. This talent card allows you to vent status conditions onto whatever you hit with your vent. But hidden in the Diluvian Mechanism, there is a feature known as No Mantra rounds that are a status effect. So this means that the talent card Water Off a Duck's Back can allow you to vent no mantra conditions off yourself. This saves you multiple minutes in a Diluvian run, as no longer do you need to just M1 through these no mantra rounds. You simply just go 50 intelligence pre-shrine on the 1.6 mage builds I showcased, and you can use this incredibly broken tech. This does come at the cost of some quality of life stuff like snake oil and high agility, and some defense, like having 90 or more fortitude, but it's well worth it. Now let's get into the second most important thing for the Diluvian, the bell variant you have. The exact bell you want to have, including the variant, is a corrupt insanity downside continuous variant Payback. Now what does this mouthful of words actually mean? Corrupt Payback gives you 80% DR while the bell is currently up, and reflects 50% of the damage you take as a lifesteal. Since all corrupt bells have a downside, you can choose between damage, fire, and insanity. However, the insanity downside is a direct buff to you, as it procs both piercing will and lose your mind. Payback has 4 variants to it in terms of what the damage is reflected as: the instant variant, delayed, sniper, and most importantly, continuous. Sniper and continuous variant look the same. However, the continuous variant multiplies all damage by 1.5, and the sniper only multiplies by 1.25. With sniper variant, you release all the damage in one big burst, whereas with continuous, not only do you release more damage, but that damage is spread across multiple hits. This just makes the bell far more consistent to hit, especially if you get hit up by something like a Thresher's Burrow. So you want to try and roll for a corrupt, insanity downside, continuous variant Payback. The other major thing is getting high monster armor. What you want to do is have all your rare pips on your head and arms equipment be on this stat, while all legendary pips should be on DVM. Having over 20 monster armor should work for an easy solo Diluvian clear, although you can get up to 32 displayed and 40 effective monster armor. Doing Primadon or the Diluvian is the easiest way for you to get a decent kit. If you want more info like what items you're looking for and the enchants, you can check out the dedicated video I have on PvE gear. Alright, final speed round for just some extra info on the build. Use the Ignition Deep Delver armor set, it has the best resistances and a good passive talent, Deepbound Origin for insanity reasons, and you can pause the video now to see the mantra modifiers for any attunement and any mantra that you should be running in the Diluvian. Okay, with the build done, you should know what you're running now. Let's discuss the individual individual waves and strats you use to farm them faster. I'll mainly be talking about these strategies for either every build or just for Gale and Flame, since these two are the most versatile attunements. Blinding Dawn is your best friend in the Diluvian. You want to make sure you're using it at the start of rounds, since you're effectively weakening everything and guaranteeing yourself a health pack when you start to use your other mantras. If you're Gale at the start of the rounds, you can use your double jump ability to prolong the effects of Blinding Dawn. This just means you're outputting more damage before it gets cancelled. For other general strats, you want to make sure that you're spamming Heretic Sutra whenever it's off cooldown. This just allows you to keep Lose Your Mind and Piercing Will proc. It's a very easy thing to forget, considering the fact that it gives you literal free damage. Making sure you check your inventory every so often will help you a lot. If you're a Gale user, inhaling your mantras before the round starts gives you roughly 10% extra damage on whatever you use. Next, using Reinforce consistently is incredibly important, because this gives you free damage reduction and buffs your damage by a little bit. Of course, to cast Reinforce faster, you can simply feint the mantra in order to instantly cast it with little to no downtime. Now you might be wondering how you deal with humanoid and no mantra waves. Well, as I've previously stated, no mantra waves are not an issue in the slightest, thanks to the trick you can use with Water Off a Duck's Back. If you don't have this talent, then you can simply just M1 through the no mantra waves and you'll be perfectly fine. For any humanoids, there is a few ways you can deal with them. The first is using the Payback Bell, simply because most humanoids can't fully block the beam of it, and it'll allow you to very easily kill them, since on stuff like golems or enforcers, you can stack up damage very fast. Plus, due to the fact Payback can't be cancelled, it's really good for electric monsters too. Radiant Dawn is your other option. This just guard breaks, and has a pretty low cooldown, especially with a Blessed Gem. And if you're a Flame Charm user, Fire Eruption works the same way. The good thing about both Radiant Dawn, Payback, and Fire Eruption is once you use them, they can't be cancelled. As long as they hit the target, you'll be perfectly fine against any humanoids. Okay, let's get into the specific waves and what you should watch out for. Out of all 50 waves in the Diluvian, I'd argue there's only 3 waves that are super hard and requires a dedicated strategy. Wave 31, this is one of the most hellish waves because it can let you get infinite stunned if you're not careful. Then next we have both Wave 48 and 50. These two just have really high damage and really tanky monsters. To beat Wave 31, you want to start by prolonging Blinding Dawn, just so you're outputting all the damage you can before you end up getting stunned. While the Prime Golems are spinning, you want to make sure that you use the Corrupt Counter Bell. Due to the fact there's also a Lightning Squibbo in here, all the damage you build up will likely kill it. This will proc full reset and give you a second use of the bell. Having Providence Thorns for these waves is also super good, since just by parrying, you can absolutely shred the golems. You can also use some mantras while repeatedly parrying their spin attack. For example, I can manage to use Twisted Kicks, which is some good damage. Alternatively, you can just run away with Wind Passage or Flame Assault and spam stuff like Tornado and Blinding Dawn. But there is a far easier way to deal with these golems. If you're using the 1.6 mages, then you'll have access to the Prediction Mantra. This makes you virtually unkillable against golems, since just by using this mantra, you'll end up reflecting their damage, and you can essentially ignore their lightning attuned status, thus making Wave 31 go from arguably the hardest wave in the Diluvian to an AFK simulator. For Wave 48 and Wave 50, you want to make sure you Blinding Dawn at the start to weaken the monsters. Then the meta is as simple as grouping them all up and letting your mantras absolutely shred through their HP. I've noticed that if you use stuff like Tornado and then use your Payback Bell, Tornado often won't be cancelled due to the reduced damage you're taking. But because of all the high damage these monsters have, you can build up damage really easily on Payback, leading to you proccing full reset incredibly easily, especially since Blinding Dawn will very often weaken the less tanky monsters at the start. For example, a full Blinding Dawn will often leave the Kia snipers on Wave 50 incredibly weak, meaning you'll often get a health pack really early, right as your mantras are about to come off cooldown for the second time. Alternatively, if you really want to rely on your counter's damage, you can use an Ishin's Ring, since an Ishin's Ring will make you take even more damage, and it'll make you output more damage. It's a little risky to do, but definitely worth it if you're confident in the Diluvian. Now, what can you actually get once you solo wave 50? Well, there's a Sinner's Ash that can corrupt your bell, a Moon's Tome to give you infinite knowledge, Idols of Young Shoal, Armorer's Needles to make a god roll set, and of course, every enchant stone and every enchant grease. Being able to solo the Diluvian makes progging slots incredibly easily, since you'll have everything you need to max them out. By implementing all of the strategies I've said today, soloing will be incredibly easy, and it's not hard to get consistent sub 20-minute clears. Just by watching solo runs to practice, or just doing it in teams, you'll easily get the experience to solo the Diluvian in no time. If you need a team to actually practice the Diluvian, then I'll leave a Discord linked down below that'll make it really easy to find teams to practice with. Good luck soloing Diluvian. If you've enjoyed, or want to get recommended one of over 70 viable solo Diluvian PvE builds, then join my Discord. Make sure to like and subscribe, as we are really close to 60k subscribers, and I have some pretty cool stuff on the way. Anyways, check out some more PvE content, and I'll see you all next time.